Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meet the Member. This week, we're getting to know a little bit more about Andy Cowle. So hi, Andy, welcome.
Hi, Amy. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good to be here.
Thanks for making time for us today.
Sure.
So our first question is, can you please tell us a little bit about what you do and sum up your work?
Well, I work, and I've worked for over 30 years in the English language teaching industry, in the publishing field. I work in sales and marketing for publishers in the UK or overseas with the distributors that they have, or I identify those distributors and work with those distributors. So it's very much a sales background. But over the years that I've been freelance, which is nearly 13 years, I've also been very much involved in teacher training for the publishers, presentations training for sales teams, and I'm also a writer of education materials for ELT, but mostly text and dialogue. So I'm a sales guy, I'm a trainer, and I'm a writer.
A wearer of many hats.
Many hats. I tell you what, it's really helped because over the last, like I say, 13 years of freelance, there's been ups and downs in the business, hugely disrupted, for good or bad, but by digital. So that's meant that when the sales work dropped, I could do more training because people wanted digital training, which I do. Then it all dropped, and then I could do writing. So it's good to have those. You need to be flexible, right?
Definitely. I bet now is a bit of a strange time for a lot of your work as well.
Yeah, well, the training became, like everyone else, more webinars. So I almost lost a contract to go normally traveling around different countries, meeting teachers at conferences, giving plenaries. And that's become a very much a webinar agenda. But that's okay. It's not the same, but we can all do it. It's fine.
So how did you get into the line of work you're in now?
Yeah. Well, I, like a lot of people in ELT, I started out as a teacher of English as a foreign language. I studied German and English linguistics at university, and when I left, I just wanted to travel like a lot of people, and I fell into teaching. I needed money. I was in Munich. I loved it. I was there for about 3 years teaching English, and I got a bit bored, looking for something in business. And around 1990, I got a job at Macmillan, actually. I started out there as a rep for the UK. And when they noticed I did German, they gave me Germany, Austria, Switzerland. And so I could just start going around traveling again, but this time with a sales career. And I never looked back. It was exactly what I wanted. I stayed very much close to the teaching side. So as we know in sales, a lot of people should give talks. And in teaching, you really can't sell to teachers. You have to show them the value. You have to get your hands dirty. And I've always loved the presentation side. So I got into it through teaching and through wanting to be that connection, which is, I think, is more and more important between the user, the teacher, and the publisher. And of course, I fell in love with publishing as a result of that because it's so creative.
That's brilliant. That's really interesting. I love that you found what you loved almost straight away.
I did, and the funny thing is, I always said to my parents when I was a kid, I was never going to work in anything like sales. It looked like too heavy, but it's been great because we talk now about solutions, and through the 90s, actually, almost all the 90s, I was an ELT bookseller and distributor responsible for the sales of a shop in Notting Hill. Actually, people think that's crazy and funny, but it was before the film. And I was responsible for international sales, and I was meeting the end users. I mean, publishing is, it's very commercial, but I think at that point in my career, I hadn't learned quite how it worked from a financial perspective and the commercial side, the margins, the difficulty of, winning the business and keeping the business. And I realized as a bookseller, given that we had some exclusives, but we were selling a lot of materials, it was my job to really simplify what was out there and give it back to customers in a way that they could feel, oh yeah, I know what this can do for my class. I need this. I was very much an advisor. And then information was power. The sales would follow, not always easily, and then I realized that's what we do now. We offer solutions. And I think I've always loved to meet teachers. I still do it. I go everywhere when I can and hear what they need. And if I'm there with the right materials, I can show them what there is and how to use them. And that's really what's happened. And I think that's the way it should be, right? You should not just sell it. You want them to come back and feel, that worked or that didn't work. That's also part of it. And I think I also remember when I first worked in publishing and then went back to publishing after that distribution time, just how much it was important to work with editors. And that was a bit of a dark area for me in sales. I was at the other end. And so feeding that back and being that link between teachers, what they need, what they don't want, what they like, editors sometimes not knowing what the sales guys are seeing. So I loved that sort of triangle of information circulation. I haven't been always perfect at it because some corporations don't work that way, ironically. But I've always been naturally in the middle, I guess. And that's why I think I wear those hats so much.
Amazing. So I'd love to know why you joined BookMachine. What do you hope to learn? Who do you hope to meet?
Well, I like Laura. And Laura and her, there's something about Laura and the BookMachine and what it offers has been branded really well. So it's never far from my consciousness. So your social media work is very good because your social media shows the value. You know, I can see there's training, CPD, there's networking opportunities, there's connections to be made. So it's always there in my mind. And I was a member for a while and then I got busy and wasn't able to make the most of it. And yeah, I think the bubble that I've been in both through lockdown and also ELT, big as it is, and I've been around and I know a lot of people, but you can be stuck in a bit of a bubble of just the same people. And I think this year I was already thinking of maybe widening out my network into non-ELT more. I mean, I know some people, of course, outside ELT in publishing, but I thought I really should look at that. And I noticed from BookMachine you were doing recordings with not just member introductions, but things that people talk about in their industry. Recently I saw one, or I'm going to see one, about the audio books business. And I want to know more about it because selfishly there's another part of me that wants to write, who doesn't, I guess, outside ELT, I mean. And I want to explore some of the possible networking opportunities and learn a little bit about the craft of writing and see where that could lead. So networking and a bit of professional development too. And yeah, when we can travel more, I'm going to be down at those parties. Who likes a party?
Brilliant. We look forward to it. So our last question is, what are you working on at the moment and what excites you about it?
Well, I've just, yeah, I'm lucky to have the work. I mean, of course, it's been a time where people have lost work, but I was lucky that the existing contract I had with an Italian publisher called Ellie Publishing, who do language materials, particularly strong with graded readers, graded leveled fiction and non-fiction. They pivoted my training, my face-to-face training to webinar workshops and things. So that's great. And it's graded reading is something I'm very passionate about because a lot of teachers out there still use simplified fiction as a long comprehension text, and that's not the way they're supposed to be used. They're there to revise and show repeated language. So that's a passion. But I've also just got a contract with a company called Bob Books, who are very large in the US. They are phonics and early literacy books for 2, 3, 4-year-olds. And I've been appointed the exclusive agent for Europe, West Africa, Turkey, and the Middle East. And I'm very excited because that area of the English and spelling is something I want to learn more about. Plus my own writing, which I think is the other exciting part of what I want to look at next.
That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that.
Busy time today.
Yeah. So it's so interesting to hear about, yeah, all the different areas that you have a hand in and all your different interests and how they come together in all your
yeah
work.
Well, it's always moving, isn't it? It's always fluid and things are coming and going, and I can't do everything in the business. I mean, for example, editorial work is just not me. I did look at it in the past, and there are some parts of I actually had my own publishing company for a short while. In around 2013, I sold it to HarperCollins. It was a very nice little set of materials for supplementary materials for teachers to use, flashcards, worksheets, but the digital disruption was so brutal on that area of the sector, I decided to move on from that. But no, it's just so many things that are going on. And English language teaching is still a huge business, looking at now, of course, in particular, a whole new movement online with new challenges and ideas there. So time will tell what part I play in that.
Thank you so much for your time today. That was
You're welcome. Good to meet you. Yeah, glad to be a member again.
It's good to have you. We'll see
Thanks
you
a lot.
in the community soon. Thank you.
I'll be online at your parties or in person when I can. Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers.